What I see there excites me much. Bedrock in this hole is what I've been waiting for. Right here we have it. Monster Red, the machine, roars as it rips across Raleigh Valley's frozen ground. It appears nearly difficult to reach the season's target of 1,500 ounces of gold. Everything that Rick Ness and his team do is a wager. They're searching well below the surface for a glimmer of luck, a location where the ground itself attempts to prevent them. You see, they struck what they believe to be the bedrock, the bottom, where the most valuable gold ought to be. That's the first gold route out of Raleigh Valley, you know. Furthermore, we are aware that there is more down there. Additionally, I've never placed so much gold on the table at once before. However, they discovered more than just gleaming metal there. It was game-changer, and it was expensive. Bonanza on bedrock. A gold miner's life is a succession of huge wagers, you see. This season's the largest wager of Rick Ness's life. His bold objective was to extract 1,500 ounces of unprocessed gold from the harsh Alaskan soil. For comparison, that is more than 90 pounds of pure gold, valued at millions of dollars. Even the most experienced miners would be uneasy about this objective. He was using his enormous wash plant, which he lovingly called Monster Red, a mechanical giant that could consume hundreds of tons of soil each hour. To get there, the team was operating in Raleigh Valley, a prospective location known for concealing enormous gold reserves. In the hot seat, carefully chiseling away at the pay soil, was the operator, Bailey Carton. Because gold is heavy, it has settled over millions of years in a layer of gravel and soil known as the pay dirt. It is the natural world's treasure trove. Finding this layer is only half the fight, which is something no one tells you. Only a few feet below the surface, the ground in this region of Alaska is saturated with water. The entire operation became a muddy, dangerous swamp as Bailey dug deeper, and the excavation pit filled with freezing groundwater. A lot of water, that is. The water will continue to flow. No, all of the material I'm currently excavating from this hole kind of looks like bedrock. According to Rick, there should be at least another 20 feet below the surface. This water wasn't only a bother. A ticking time bomb was present. The pay soil would become a thick, uncontrollable slurry that Monster Red couldn't effectively digest if it got overly saturated. Even worse, it was unable to dig much deeper since the rising water threatened to swamp the entire cut. They were in a last-ditch effort to remove the richest dirt before the earth itself ate it up. With each scoop, the excavator triumphed over the creeping water, a desperate attempt to save the riches that was right under their feet. A single error or a machine failure might cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars in this high-stakes, stressful setting. Deep in the Alaskan bush, a suspenseful drama was being created by the pressure and rising water. That is an issue. I'll go try again on the opposite side, check to see if this is frozen or open, or what the devil is happening. Many failed to see that Bailey struck hard just when things appeared to be at their worst. Everything changed with the sound. Their problems can end with a simple shift in sound. Many people are obsessed with the prospect of hitting it rich, whether it is in mud or metal, but they frequently overlook the small hints that could lead to a huge find. A miner uses texture and sound to read the world. The smooth grind of excavating through gravel gave way to a hard grating scrape as Bailey's excavator bucket scraped the pit's bottom. They had been waiting for this sound. The sound was rock on metal. They had struck rock. Yes, it appears to be all bedrock now that I'm at the very bottom of Raleigh Valley, close to the sump pole. Would you be able to come look and determine the next course of action? Bedrock is the ultimate goal in the field of placer mining. With a density of around 19 times that of water, gold is extremely dense. Gold particles are washed downstream over millennia as rivers flow and glaciers melt. Their weight causes them to sink until they strike an impenetrable layer, which is typically the solid bedrock at a valley's base. Sitting directly on top of this bedrock is nearly invariably the richest pay dirt, the material that has the largest nuggets and the highest concentration of gold. This was a huge turning moment, to put it mildly. The crew was aware that they were no longer merely prospecting and excavating. They had arrived at the motherlode's door. The sight was suddenly charged with exhilaration instead of nervous desperation. Rick hurried to examine the discovery. Their hopes were validated by what he witnessed. There was roughness in the bedrock. There were several fissures and cracks in it. These little fishermen cling onto flakes and nuggets for generations, making them ideal gold traps. Geologically, it was a jackpot. However, not everything is as it seems. Additionally, hitting bedrock meant that the water crisis was going to worsen significantly. We are the first humans to ever reach this degree. Well, that's quite awesome. The groundwater pooled and rose even more quickly because the solid rock floor stopped it from penetrating deeper. Before the entire cut was inundated, they had a very little window of time to scoop up this extraordinarily rich pay dirt. They had increased the stakes even further. They had a fortune on their hands, but it was one that might be taken away at any time. The last crucial lap of the fight against time had just begun. The treasure was visible, but extracting it was another matter. Gold rivers. The backbreaking amount of work required to clean up after gold mining is something that no one ever mentions. The actual labor started after hours of furious digging and huge red processing tons of pay dirt. The wash plant separates the heavier gold from the lighter sand and gravel using gravity and water. A highly concentrated black sand is the end result, which is subsequently transported to the gold room for the last separation. To be really honest, I can't wait to see what's in those mats, and when we finally get rid of Monster Red, I have a feeling that it will look pretty nice. Here's where the magic takes place. For the moment of truth, Rick was joined by his mine manager Jason and gold recovery expert Heather Folster. Anxiety and hope were mixed together. They had wagered on this area of land, fought the weather, and put in many hours of work. They would now discover whether it had all been worthwhile. Heather started the painstaking concentrate panning procedure. The first flecks of yellow emerged as she rubbed the black sand around in the pan. And more. Before long, a thick coating of golden flakes covered the pan's bottom. However, there was another factor. Everyone gasped at something. Nuggets of pure gold nestled among them. On this claim, some of the largest they had ever discovered. They weren't only dots. Some of them were thumbnail-sized chunks of solid gold. These nuggets' appearance verified that striking bedrock had been crucial. It was the ancient, weighty gold that had been there for ages. The gold was dried and put into a weighing pan following the last separation. As the numbers increased, the digital scale wavered until settling on the astounding number of 315.710. They had secured a haul valued at more than $750,000 in a single cleanup. In Crew's history, it was among the most prosperous goldways, a credit to their diligence and Rick's bold plan. Do you understand? That's Raleigh Valley's first gold exit. Furthermore, we are aware that there is more down there. Additionally, I've never placed so much gold on the table at once before. All of a sudden, their 1,500-ounce season target appeared not only feasible but likely. However, as the festivities progressed, a more significant query remained unsolved. The burden of a leader, the final figure, the weight, and the monetary amount excite a lot of people. The moment that makes everything seem worthwhile is the glistening reward. However, many fail to recognize the enormous financial and personal risk that precedes such a moment. This was more than simply a job to Rick Ness. The crusade was personal. This procedure had cost him everything he owned and more. The problem is that miners are frequently hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in the hole before they even discover their first speck of gold. And that's not even counting the fuel. Diesel is an absolute necessity for a massive wash facility, such as Monster Red and the army of rock trucks and excavators that supply it. We're talking about hundreds of gallons being burned per hour. The daily cost of petrol alone can potentially surpass $10,000. That would be equivalent to burning a mountain of cash every morning without knowing if you will discover any gold at all. Then there is his crew's salary, a group of experts who have left their families to labor in the far-off wilderness. Add in the ongoing maintenance requirements for the multi-million-dollar equipment, where a single blown hydraulic line may cause the entire operation to stop and incur enormous costs for repairs and lost time. Every choice is crucial in this stressful climate caused by the extreme financial strain. I am aware that there is fine gold down there, but you're always hesitant until you see it in the box. You're anxious all the time. Actually, I just want to see it for myself right now, but I'm hoping for positive things. It will relieve a great deal of pressure. A bad week can result from a poor decision, picking the incorrect section of ground, or a significant mechanical issue. It may spell both financial catastrophe and the end of the season. You see, there was more to this $34 million shawl than just financial gain. It was more like a lifeline, to put it mildly. Before it is even counted, a significant amount of that money has already been spent. It is promptly put back into the business to pay for the enormous overheads, settle fuel obligations, and guarantee personnel compensation. Although it was a significant triumph, it was only one front in a protracted and highly costly conflict with nature. The thrill of a huge gold way frequently obscures this fact. The celebration and the smiles are captured by the cameras, but the restless nights leading up to it are not often captured. The devastating mental toll this takes on a mind boss is something no one tells you. Rick is in charge of providing for his whole staff. He's responsible for their morale, their safety, and their salaries. These are not only workers. They are those who have trusted his vision and his gold-finding skills. That load of responsibility is particularly difficult to bear when you're alone in the middle of nowhere. Although there's a strong surge of relief following a good cleanup like this one, it is fleeting. The very following day, the pressure is reset. In the hopes of discovering another lucrative patch of pay dirt, they must get up and start anew. Although we have a lot of plans for this season, reaching the bottom of Rally Valley is our top priority. We're nearly there. At last, we're locating the rim. The life of a contemporary gold prospector is characterized by an unrelenting, merciless cycle of danger and reward. Even if this one victory was a huge accomplishment, it was the result of making risky choices and having the guts to risk everything. So, is it really possible for someone to get wealthy overnight? All night? Is success a myth? It's simple to get sucked into the dream when we see a headline like this. Ness mines $250,000 in one haul. We imagine the experience of discovering such a treasure. This type of accomplishment might happen overnight, so it may appear to the typical viewer that he merely happened upon a lucky spot. Is that the case, though? Are we overlooking something important here? The problem is that we didn't see a lottery victory. Years of expertise, a wealth of geological knowledge, and a steadfast faith in a well-thought-out plan all contributed to its creation. Instead of just showing up with a shovel and hoping for the best, Rick did more. He has invested in the appropriate people and the proper equipment, studied the movement of old rivers, and learned how to read the terrain for years. This enormous haul wasn't a unique incident. He learned where and how to look via the accumulation of innumerable setbacks, near misses, and minor victories. It is a tale of perseverance. The years of hardship under Parker Schnabel, the times when he didn't find much on his own, and the periods of uncertainty that would have caused most people to give up are not shown on film. Then you have to ask yourself, is there more going on? Rumor has it that Rick didn't simply discover a fertile area. He may have discovered a fabled motherlode, they think. Folklore in the Yukon is based on this. For millions of years, the nearby creeks and valleys have been nourished by a single, concentrated supply of gold. What I see there excites me much. Bedrock is what I've been hoping to see in this hallway. Right here we have it. Could it be that his haul was the first hint to a far greater, undiscovered wealth that prospectors have been looking for more than a century, rather than merely a fortunate cleanup? The idea of secret knowledge is something that many people have failed to consider. You know, the Klondike's old-timers left behind hand-drawn maps of the fertile land, and legends that were never formally documented. There is a strange possibility that one of these lost maps might have been in Rick's possession, or maybe he has an advantage no one else has due to his exclusive geological survey. That would account for his assurance in areas that others would have overlooked. Perhaps his success lies not only in his ability to read the land, but also in his ability to understand a past that has been lost to time. The notion of sudden success in gold mining is, to put it mildly, a fantasy. It's a hard, demanding profession that requires a great deal of sacrifice. Therefore, whether Rick's success was due to his unwavering work, the use of a secret map, or the discovery of a legendary motherlode, it serves as a potent reminder that real wealth is earned rather than found. The gold is merely the last, brilliant prize after a protracted, difficult, and possibly far more enigmatic trip than we will ever fully comprehend. What do you think, then? Are the extraordinary dangers and sacrifices worth the prospect of gold? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Remember to subscribe and like this video for more amazing tales from the gold mining industry. Does skill play a smaller role than luck?